I'm not sure if we're live yet. Looks like it. Looks like it. So welcome, Dante Starshine here. I'm going to talking about this this eclipse that is happening right now. I wanted to make this video yesterday, but I didn't do that because I was at the ceremony that I came to. I'm in India right now, and then Tiruvannamalai. This is a sacred mountain that is believed to be Lord Shiva himself. And people walk around the mountain for all night, really. It's a 14-kilometer journey that's about 8.6 miles. And it was really incredible and beautiful. I'm really glad I did it. Slept 4 hours, but feeling really energized from all of the devotion walking around all of these temples. So, woohoo! The channeling live stream begins. It continues. It's the same time as it was last week. So if you're interested in that, hop on Thursday, and always remember the email list is the best way to stay informed. So the eclipse, that's what this video is about. It's actually happening right now in this very moment, in this very second. It is still just beginning. The penumbra is kind of starting to cover the moon. And over time, for those who are able to see the eclipse, the moon will gradually disappear, become smaller and smaller, and then be blacked out, and it appears red as it is blacked out. So red moon. It's very beautiful to witness. And what occurred to me the last eclipses is how this the initial phase of the eclipse is very much like you're seeing all of the phases of the moon happen in rapid speed, whereas normally like the moon's in a different phase every day in the matter of say like 1 to 3 hours, depending on the eclipse. The moon goes through all of its phases in that very quick window, and you can see the moon in the crescent phase and the almost full phase. And it doesn't look exactly like the moon looks when it's going through its natural phases, because there's a bit of a shadow there, but nonetheless, it is. Eclipses are like a new moon and a full moon at once. It is a coming together of energy, but then it is also a release. It opens up to the spiritual realm, but it destabilizes things, and it can be a trigger for rapid evolution and growth in new directions. Sometimes that happens through unexpected events or mentally disturbed energies that cause things to happen around us. And sometimes it's like this grip of fate that sends us on a new trajectory. In India, the eclipses are viewed as very not good, inauspicious. So they close all of the temples on the days of an eclipse. And normally this full moon ceremony would be on the night of the full moon. It was almost full yesterday, but it moved to today. So that's why I wasn't expecting it to be last night. But anyway, so the superstition in these traditions is to not look at the eclipse, but I say go for it, follow your feeling. Just understand that when you do look at the eclipse, you're bringing in an energy that is rather intense. So you want to do it in a mindful way, not in a chit-chatting way, where you're really focused on your intentions and when you're really focused on what you're calling in and letting go. I'm not sure how many people see this video before the eclipse is over, but just to note that the energies of the eclipse come in and they stay with us for a period of time. So even if you happen to stumble upon this video after the eclipse, the astrology of it shows you what you can see from what you might expect to come into your life. So I'm going to dive into both the Western and the Vedic chart, experimenting with bringing that approach back one at a time. So I'm going to share my screen so we can bring up the chart. No. Okay. So you'll be seeing everything like this. So this is the moon right here, and the moon is being eclipsed in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of fertility. Of It's a simple sign. It's a sign that's very grounded. It's a sign of love, art, and beauty. These could be themes of this moon. Taurus is often calling us to bring in more simplicity or more grounding, more of a practical focus, or something that's more bringing us to our senses, because Taurus is all about our senses and appreciating the beauty and deliciousness of life around us. Whereas its opposite, Scorpio, where the Sun and Mercury and Venus are, is more about depth, more about complexity, more about understanding the mystery. So these are different sides of the coin, but they do both connect to this energy of both sexuality and also of wealth. They're both very interested in these things in different ways. So these can be kinds of themes that come up when eclipses happen on this axis. Now, we see obviously the north and south node with the sun and moon. This is a north node eclipse. Western astrology connects the north node with our evolutionary drive forward, something that we are craving for or an inner yearning that puts us on the path of our destiny and brings in evolution and also challenge in our life in some ways. So the Uranus is in so many ways similar to the North Node. It's about evolution, change, transformation, sudden disruptions, and it can be catastrophic events, unexpected events, but mostly it's a transformation and evolution. So two forces of catalytic transformation are present, and that brings about a emotional growth and perhaps unexpected changes in relationships. Why relationships especially? Because Venus, the planet signifying love and relationships, is on the other side with the sun, right there again. And so Venus is getting impacted by this eclipse and playing a role as well. So transformation in the realm of love, and also money, Venus represents money as well, can also come into the equation, whereas Mercury is about communication, it's about learning, it's about sharing ideas, socializing, friends. So those areas can also experience some waves of this transformation. In a square to this, we have Saturn over there in Aquarius. So now we have, that's that's 7 planets in fixed signs, first of all. So fixed is not changing. It's very stable. It's solid. Fixed signs can be very stubborn. When big events show up with a lot of fixed energy, it usually actually means something big is about to change, because eclipses can be disrupting. Fixed can represent what is stuck and stable, so disruptions to what is stuck and stable. And fixed energies bring really huge waves of growth, but also, yeah, that energy of stubbornness. There's an intensity with the fixed energy. You might feel that people are more stubborn or less willing to be flexible with this eclipse. It can show us where that energy is in our lives. Anyway, Saturn is the harsh old teacher. Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn shows us where we have to work out our karma and grow. And so Saturn influencing this as well can point to patterns of the past. Saturn often does represent the paternal patterns. So Saturn is about our patterns. It's about these karmic cycles that repeat again and again, and how we break through from them. So when Saturn shows up to big events, it can be used in a positive way when we use it as a way to go into what our patterns are and question our patterns and bring them to grow and evolve. Saturn is in that quite tight square to Uranus still, and that is causing and has been causing, if you've been paying attention to astrology reports, also changes in the collective related to rebellion against the more oppressive governments and systems, and more things could be coming through with that, though Uranus now being connected and supported with so many other planets does kind of indicate Uranus has got the upper hand at this point. And Uranus does represent the people, it represents the collective, it represents change and transformation, whereas Saturn represents the status quo and bureaucracy and so on and so forth. So rebellion against that. Jupiter is in a nice little sextile to the Sun and to Mercury and Venus. And Jupiter is with Neptune. These are both the signs connected with Pisces, still in their own sign. That adds more depth to the Pisces and the Jupiter Neptune energy. That's spirituality, depth, mystery, wonder. So there is perhaps some of that energy coming to affect this eclipse, as it's making both a trine and a sextile to the planets participating in the eclipse. That's some good positive spiritual growth, some sense of wonder and mystery being involved. And yet at the same time, Mars is square to, Mars down here is square to them with that red line. And Mars is the planet of the warrior. It's the planet of aggression, energy. And so this planet, the positive side of it is that it protects and it gives life force to make change and move. But it can also bring some aggressive or intense, heavy energies in. When Mars is connecting with Neptune and Jupiter, it's about a sort of spiritual aggression. And the positive side of this is using your willpower to bring about spiritual changes and spiritual depth that you want to see in your life. The shadow of it would be being a sort of religious zealot or a crusader, missionary kind of energy that's fighting for their beliefs. So we have to look out of where we're pushing our beliefs onto others at this time. That could be something represented by this. The eclipse itself is represented by Venus because it is in Taurus, connected with Venus. And Venus is hanging out very close to the sun there. This, in Western astrology, it's called in the rays. It's when the planet is not as seen, not as clearly visible, or not visible at all, technically. In Vedic, it's called combustion. I'll talk more about that later. But essentially, it upsets the planet, and its significations are kind of lost. They can't be seen. So this could be a time when we are connecting with our inability to experience the depth of love and beauty and pleasure, those things connected with Venus, or abundance. And we're looking to bring about the transformation that's going to help us integrate and bring that energy in and really connect with what does it mean for us to bring in harmonious relationships, sensuality into our lives, and the consciousness of abundance and self-worth that are so much Taurus and Venus themes. So there are other great videos out there. I want to send a recommendation for Pam Gregory's video. I do watch her videos as well. I don't agree or have the same read with her on everything, but one thing that she's really good with is bringing this chart to compare it to the charts of countries and politicians and major leaders in the world. And Tam has said that this eclipse is directly affecting the charts of the USA, of, I think she said NATO or the European Union or both, I forget which one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure she said NATO. Check her video out, Pam Gregory, to hear about that. And also maybe, also it was Putin. It was a lot of people involved in the big things happening now. So when eclipses happen on planets in our chart, especially Sun, Moon, Ascendant, it indicates a really big wave of transformation that changes our lives in incredible ways. And when we really focus on spirit and on our intentions during this time, there's great growth, even though it's intense. Like last year on my birthday, which is November 19th, happy birthday to me, it's coming in like a week or so. There was the longest eclipse in a long time that happened on my birthday. So a very powerful one on my 30th birthday. And I was in a ceremony all night. And gosh, that was an intense ceremony. And it did bring a lot of transformation in my life. After that, there was a bit of challenge in some regards. But then as I pushed forward through it, there was some of the most beautiful experiences that I have had this past year. So when the eclipses come, it's like it's asking us to do our work. And I've seen people who are unconscious of having planets on the eclipse axis and not really putting the time in, getting a little destroyed by it. But there's also that flip side of it where it can be really beautiful and really powerful time. Is there anything else that jumps out to my attention in this chart? Not really. So that was the Western chart. And oh, I need to stop annotations. Oh, we get to see all of my little times. Where's the Vedic chart? It's November 8th. All right, so this might be a lot more confusing for some people. But basically, one that you see in that corner, that represents Aries. Aries. So that's where the signs are. Now, in Vedic, it's based on the true zodiac. Western is based on a calculation made almost 2,000 years ago that connects the spring equinox with 0 degrees of Aries, making that system 24 degrees behind what is actually seen within the sky. So here we have planets in different signs, but Vedic is less about planets and signs and more about aspects that are taking place. Of course, all of the same planets are together. It's Sun, Moon, Venus, with Ketu, the south node, Moon with Rahu, the north node. And yes, in Vedic, these planets are combust. And actually, clear, stop annotations. Let's see. Surya, Buddha. So there's something different taking place. Venus is combust. Venus is stressed out. Combust planets are angry. They've been burnt by the sun. They can't be seen. Their light isn't shining. And this is a heavy thing for the significations of Venus, which is relationships, love, beauty, pleasure, and money. So those things can be under some stress. Mercury is going to be combust again in a second, and Mercury is still not visible in the rays. But Mercury is in this position called Cazimi, because Mercury is at the exact degree of the sun. As you see down there, they're both 22 And that does bring about more of a stable energy. It happens at the time of the eclipse, so there's some amplification of Mercury's energy in some way. Mercury significations come in to the equation more, and that can indicate a chapter of new learning or growth in some way. Thinking outside of the box, Mercury is the intellectual mind, so there can be some growth in that realm. The eclipse here is happening in Aries. Aries is this fiery sign. Aries is the initiator. Aries starts things and has a lot of fire to burn through. So having this eclipse in Aries rather than Taurus, from this perspective, it's can be about starting new projects, starting something new, connecting with this fire, this inner passion that brings us through. And the eclipse is stop annotation. So the eclipse is in there's nakshatras that in Vedic, which are like they're moon signs. Where did that stuff go now? Okay, can't get rid of the annotations now. It's really annoying. Where did it go? Hold on. Okay, I'm back now. There was something weird going on with those screen shares. Start now. So here you just see Bharanan, nakshatra, Bharani. Bharani is the third nakshatra. Bharani is a harsh nakshatra. It's connected with the god Yama. That's the lord of death. So having an eclipse in Bharani, one way of looking at it is that this is a time where things can die, can be shaken loose. Things that no longer serve us can be let go of and transformed to make way for something new to come in. But Bharani is also about having great and clear discernment. So the way to do that and to let things go is to look at the things that are not working anymore in a very clear light, to assess the people, situations, assess ourselves in a very totally honest way, without holding on to any sort of sympathy, to just get to the clear and direct truth. And this is an energy that comes in with Bharani Nakshatra. And to do so, well, Bharani is actually connected with Venus. So even though it's an intense nakshatra, Venus is the planet of love and beauty. Why is this? Is in the ancient world, Venus was also connected with truth, because what was true was considered beautiful. So coming to this truth is really revealing what is the most healing, the most refreshing. To get beyond the illusion, it shows us reality. There's something very beautiful about reality when we see it for what it is, and we aren't masking or covering things up. Just the sheer fact that it's real awakens a greater sense of beauty. There is also an aspect of Mars on Saturn at this time, and that can be, if they were in full aspects of each other, that would also be a death yoga, but it isn't that complete. But there is, some of that intense energy on Saturn. But what we're really concerned about is where you have Libra in your chart. Where you would have Libra in your chart would be what would be most affected by this, because there are those two combust planets and two malefic planets in that seventh, where that 7 is the sign of Libra. And in your Western chart, that would be Scorpio. So if you have a lot of planets in Libra or Scorpio, depending on the system, this can be a time of transformation for those planets. And of course, that really depends on what house the planets are in, what planets they are, what's the status of those planets. Planets that already are struggling a little bit are going to experience it much more than planets that have a lot of natural strength. So be aware of that and look out for that sign of Libra in your chart. In other astrological news, Mars has recently gone retrograde. And Mars, again, is that planet significating aggression, protection, vitality, but fighting. And there's a review of those energies. Retrograde planets are stronger. So the themes of the retrograde planet come more to the surface. The planet slows down and goes into its backward motion for some time. So be open to exploring that realm, that area. In the Western system, this is happening entirely in Gemini. The Vedic system, it's happening in Gemini and Taurus. Mars is about to move back into Taurus. So look at where Gemini and Taurus are in your chart and see what's going on there. As Mars comes through, again, if that planet has some natural strength and isn't affected by malefic planets, that would bring about a protection for that planet. But if it's a weak planet or already having a lot of malefic influence, then that planet is going to struggle and is going to perhaps feel some either aggression. Mars is also impulsivity, doing things too spontaneously without thought. Mars just takes orders. Mars follows instinct. Mars doesn't think too much. So we need to balance that by bringing some extra mindfulness and consideration into those areas of Gemini and Taurus where those are in your chart. Jupiter is here still retrograde in its own sign of Pisces. And that's really great, actually. Planets are very strong in their own sign, and it's just bringing more of that spiritual energy of Pisces. So wherever Pisces is in your chart, it's an area that's getting expanded and blessed and getting to grow in a positive way. So that's really, I'm going to stop the share now. That's this eclipse in a nutshell. And maybe some of that is, if you study astrology, that makes sense. And if you aren't fully familiar, some of these terms may have your head spinning, but it's really good to learn about this system, because once we see it, it's like we're aware of the cosmic clock that's ticking and how it's always affecting us and bringing different sorts of energies into our lives. So if you want to learn about your chart, or if you want to look at how this eclipse is specifically affecting you, I offer readings, and you can book that with me, emailing me at dantestarshine@gmail.com. My website is dantestarshine.com. I'm going to update the astrology site soon with also the Vedic astrology info. I do both kinds of reading. The Vedic astrology is offered at a discount because it is my first year of, well, I've graduated from the course now, and it's now first period that I'm practicing this professionally. So I want to make it more affordable and to gain more experience. So you can contact me for that. And around the eclipses and also full moons, I do offer shorter readings just to take a peek at how this is affecting you. So if you want even a 15-minute reading for just $22, we can dive into your chart and just get a sense of how this is affecting you and how you might want to navigate some decisions and changes in your life accordingly in the time of this eclipse. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, please share, pass it around. I really appreciate that. And I hope to see you for the channeling session on Thursday if you follow the channeling streams. And also a reminder that the channeling course is happening on Sunday. So if you want to dive in and learn how to connect with your guides and move through some deep changes in yourself by applying the healing tools that are part of this course, and also gaining the experience that you can share these healing tools with others, this is an amazing program and opportunity. And I would really love to meet you and talk to you about it. If you want to set up a free program consultation and see if it's right for you. The course is happening on Sunday, and it's a really small group, which is an even greater bonus because then you get even more time to ask your questions and get some one-to-one attention. So I look forward to connecting with you if that's on the table. And I send you many blessings from this holy mountain, which is really a holy hill, Tiruvallur in India. I'm going to post a video in a little while about my experience here yesterday, as it was quite beautiful. And that's something that I think many people would like to get a peek into. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again for watching. Have a fantastic day. Much love, many blessings, and namaste.